Hi, this is Attila, and this is the video guide for the French division. So what's interesting about that French division is certainly the mobility of it. So at the beginning of this round I deployed the recon vehicle, armored one, as well as a couple of Jeep with 50 cal. And my goal here was to go faster than my enemies to get into that town. And that's what I did by a fast order. So as you can see, those armored vehicles are really fast going, and I actually managed in this game to reach the well, at least reach an area where the enemy is not there yet, and my vehicle can suppress them. So you can see they are just there because they are actually the Rommel division, so a bit slower than me because they are on track. And the fact that my troops have wheels, they are very fast. Now you can see that my M8 are suppressing, and my Jeep are coming in, suppressing even more. Now I'm a bit charging too much here, but the thing is I really want to move forward and suppress and capture potentially. This is important. You can also see my command vehicle going in, and you can also notice that my adversary is also doing the same. So this is a fight to capture the enemy, and now he comes in with a Panzer 4, and I unload my MG, which you can see is suppressing an enemy vehicle over there. And I have my Wolverine, which just killed the enemy tank, so that kind of solved a big issue, while my M8 are just running around routed a bit. But what matters here is really that I did kill the enemy tank, and you can notice my MG in the building, which is suppressing the enemy aft track, potentially killing some of them, while also suppressing the enemy infantry. So this is really a quite strong feature for that faction. You have 50 cal infantry. So this is really a unit that you should use. So you can see that I have my infantry unloaded and pinned down. So I'm waiting for them to rally, and I will push forward. Adversary has a lot of mortar. They suppress my MG. But the thing is, my vehicle are really fast. I'm spreading them around, and I want to attack them from multiple angles because I know that if you focus only on one position, you might get routed by the area of effect damage, so that's not necessarily good. So my vehicles are now flanking. Actually, I'm ordering them to do so. I'm suppressing the enemy infantry from all over the base. Just bring additional troops now. And I'm really suppressing again with 50 cal. This is a really powerful machine gun to suppress the morale of the enemy and potentially kill them. Now they stop bombarding my MG, which actually managed to not being pinned down. Very impressive. Moving my Wolverine to the right so it can have an angle on whatever comes by the road. Putting in some anti-air support because you never know. It's really important to have anti-air support, especially when you reach near phase B. Since Germans don't really have much air support, B phase is really the moment I expect some. So now they need it, and they'll call it. So currently Wolverine is suppressing, and I'm suppressing from multiple direction, which means that if the enemy fire back, I'm not suppressed myself, so that's good. I'm moving my command vehicle to support my Wolverine, which is at this point really important in killing all those vehicles. I have additional infantry that came by just now, so I'm moving them into a position in front of the forest so I can secure it from the enemy infantry in the wood, which are currently preventing me from pushing forward with my vehicle because they have anti-tank. at least the possibility of having anti-tank. I don't know yet. I do, but you do. Now with my recon vehicle, you can see I'm moving forward to the left, also moving forward to the right. Now the enemy brings some anti-tank gun, and my recon spot that. And I'm targeting them specifically because I want those guns to be suppressed. So I'll keep my troops my vehicles safe from that. Now they are suppressed. I'm actually moving in and moving out with my recon vehicle. That wasn't necessarily a tactic that I intended that much, but it did work. It's not like a big trick, it's more like a trick that I made up on the fly. And now I'm targeting those anti-tank gun. The enemy has a tank, but he's actually out of range from my troops and doesn't have anything really killed, I suppose. And now the guy which is in front of me, which is not player guy, but another one just left. So you can see very early on I managed to defeat one player, which is kind of sad because he left. Should have stayed there and take one for the team and slow me down, but instead he just left. That's a bit disappointing. But nonetheless, you will see that I'll take advantage of this and the capacity of this battle group. So right now I'm just finishing off the enemy vehicles which are around. There is another player which actually spot what's going on there, and he actually brings some troops to stop me. But he's busy elsewhere, so he doesn't end up doing much against me at this point. On my left, I'm seeing that there's a lot of anti-tank. I'm moving forward with my Wolverine, and I captured the enemy infantry. It's really important to capture the enemy because it's much faster than actually killing them in most cases. Unless you have Shermans, who are pretty fast at killing stuff. Now, you can notice that I just saw that there was some troops down there. By the time my infantry reach the wood or can start to fight over there, this is a big waste of time as far as I'm concerned. So I end up just ignoring it, because at this point I killed so much on that road that there's no point staying there. And if they bring stuff to stop me at that place, it's fine, because they expect me to be there and they'll be cautious, so they will take their time to push back. So I'm just moving my infantry forward with the intention of stalling them if they push forward, but it's mostly for me. This place, it's over. It's unlikely that anybody has the resources to actually push me back, because whoever is spawning stuff there, he has troops elsewhere and he's busy elsewhere, so he might be trying to push back, but I doubt it. So what I do instead is I'm shifting my attention to the left, and I'm just deploying my infantry over there to ensure that nobody, well, at least put a kind of a front of a defense. And I'm moving to encircle that unit over there, well, that group of unit. So I'm pushing now. And as you can see, some of my troops actually are out of ammo, and that's out of 50 cal ammo. This is something which is why I put a supply vehicle on this deck. It's very important because your A phase units are really strong, but they run out of ammo at some point. Because they're that strong, they can survive a while and potentially run out. You need supplies. Now, I'm not using move fast because I don't know what kind of a position I might be facing over there. Well, here I hope that my allies are pushing there. But I can tell you that my allies really did not take advantage of the situation that much here. Or actually, they fail at really clearing that town. And if they had, then we'll save me some trouble later on. But for now, they did not. I'm using the bomber now, and I bombarded an AT gun. Which you can see it just got destroyed there. There you go. And I also bombarded something else, but I'm not sure what that was. Probably the building, because I wanted my allies to actually push forward, and the bombers from the French are really good at destroying buildings. They're good at destroying most things actually, but they are good at destroying buildings and suppressing the enemy, which will allow an aggressive ally to actually capture the enemy. But in this case, my allies did it, but very slowly. And you can see now that the enemy has actually completely cut off from his front line. And the consequence of this is that they will not recover particularly fast, morally speaking. So if you suppress them, it's much easier to capture them. At that point, I'm going for capturing their land, their land insertion. So I'm cutting off their resupplying potentially. Well, here I continue my push to the left, and I keep half track over there. Now I'm sending him into the town, hopefully to capture something or suppress them, because since the enemy doesn't is not part of his front line, he's encircled. If you meet enemy infantry, they will panic much faster, because they don't recover faster. At least that's the theory of it. And also, when you attack from the back, you can usually expect that a couple of their units, like artillery or anti-air, will be exposed to your move, instead of having to face another strong presence, like tank or infantry. Now that's another guy that left, sadly. And this guy is actually, I think, he sent a few troops to answer me, but I think he ended up realizing that he was too spread out, or the situation was hopeless, or whatever. But he actually was fighting a guy which in our team that left as well. So it's a bit of a problem with 10 versus 10 lately. So now I'm moving toward that town there. I want to cut off the reinforcements, but they are actually... they managed to call a few tanks before I could cut it off. So as a result, I end up facing a few tanks, which my Wolverine is good enough to take care of. Now the challenge is to push all the way to the corner there. And I'm sending a command vehicle, which is certainly not ideal, but in this case that's all I had. It seems that command vehicle really do affect the territory, the morale, kind of stuff. Now as you can see, we're in phase B, and now their air force is really a problem for me. Because they can, I'm really close to them. I only have one anti-air, and well, actually I have two more anti-air, but they're a bit late in the game, let's say. Well, here you can see that my ally is still actually fighting to capture that town. I do manage here to clear that infantry unit. I have another command vehicle helping out. Well, here I'm hiding my half-track because it's kind of dangerous. It's out of ammo, so I cannot really suppress the enemy. Now, for me, it's clear that with that area with buildings, I don't have any infantry to fight in that. So this is a bit of a problem for me at this point. So I just ignore it and go around it. It's slower, but you know, if the enemy spent points to deploy troops in the town, those points are not used elsewhere to block me in the back. So I'm just making my way in the back, very slowly. Now with that recon vehicle, I'm thinking about engaging the enemy in that road at least. And now I'm sending my bombers to support that front line to the left, which seem to be struggling a little. This guy is finally managing to push forward, but you can see here that we actually lost the momentum because now the enemy actually sent troops to neutralize my recon vehicle from preventing them to spawn units there. So that is problematic. Well, here my recon spot an enemy tank, so I'm just moving it back. I will hide it. So you can see all the encirclement that happened there is now no longer functioning, let's say. And I did receive some troops from somebody that left, but I got lucky there because the guy that left was in front of a guy that left, so like that was a draw. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving toward the enemy spawn. I know that there's a tank, but the guy doesn't seem particularly aggressive. If you're fighting on the front line in this game, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything that happens. So as a result, he's just not paying much attention. He sent a tank. It's a pretty basic tank, which kind of means that he's not doesn't want to commit too many troops there. And as a result, I'm still able to flank around without necessarily being noticed. While here, these guys are starting to push forward. I'm just moving slowly in the field. I must say I'm very surprised that they did not send more troops to intercept me at this point. But they actually did. One guy actually sent some airborne, which I don't think we will see from this point of view, which is kind of live gameplay instead of a replay. But there's literally an airborne unit to the right of my tank, and I just stopped my tank. Fortunately, far away from, well, out of range, let's say. And this is really, it was lucky. Now you can see my anti-air has engaged the enemy tank. This is really what I wanted, and actually I think I didn't notice that much. And now there's a Panther tank against my anti-air and my Wolverine, and there's also an anti-tank gun. And as I said, there's an airborne group which we don't see, which could have easily killed my Wolverine if it had just moved forward a bit. But what is kind of fortunate here is that the Panther ended up wasting a few shots on the anti-air gun, which allowed me to suppress him and make him panic, and from there my Wolverine just took a shot in the side, and I must say that was very lucky because it would have gone very wrong. Now because there is an anti-tank gun in the back over there, I decided to just forget about it. There's no way with this force I can take that out without risking too much. So I'm moving to kill the tank which is over here. There we go, I'm taking a few shots at him. but I realize the risk is too big and I have too few troops in this area to actually risk it. Well, here I'm calling in a lot of Air Force, and my goal here is to allow my allies to push as much as possible, as fast as possible. And I will actually move to meet them literally. But first I need to deal with this tank over there. Additional airstrike coming in. What's also interesting about that bomber is that it does have a rear gun which can make the enemy fighter chasing him panic. So that's kind of cool. I like that. It's also the case with the Stuka, I think. There we go. We're taking him from two sides, so that tank is now dead. Now there is a few infantry in that forest also. Like there. They take a shot, but my vehicle is too fast. And now that caused me a bit of a problem, because like, first of all, if I go toward the spawn, there's a chance of being flanked. And secondly, if I go back to that road, there's a chance of being shot at. So, as you can see here, my Wolverine, by going there, that's a total, well, that's a mistake on my part. I lost it. But if I had moved toward my line, let's say, I would have perhaps saved that Wolverine. I'm so sad about this. While there, I'm actually moving a command vehicle which doesn't have any weapon toward the enemy. And my goal here is really to push my advantage and potentially capture the enemy even if it's a command vehicle. And at the same time, there's a, I think there's a Panther coming, so a bit dangerous. Now I indicate to my team to push forward, because at this point this is very dangerous for me, and this is also a great opportunity for the team. So telling them, just push. I'm using the line of 3 to get closer to them, and I'm using my command vehicle to ensure that they are encircled. They managed to shortly re-establish the front line, but fortunately that did not work. Now their Panther are moving to retake the territory over there, while here the Air Force is finishing that early force, and the guy there actually left. Fix that. So that's like 4 or 5 players that left of my ninja moves. Actually, that's like 2. As you can see here, the enemy retook the town. Well, they did not retake it, but they did not lose it. And as a result, I had not noticed that the guy over there left, but I was pretty convinced that my allies had the strength to deal with that. So I just left him a command vehicle, and I ordered my troops to come back into that zone. And I had a lot of points, so as a result I decided to consider what to do. Either I could go help on the right, or I could go come and help here. I decided to help over there. So what I bring was first of all a couple of anti-air, because Air Force is pretty much what anybody can bring from anywhere on the battlefield quickly. So you have to deal with that. I brought a couple of infantry to retake the town. I brought a Jeep, because it's kind of good to have a 50 cal to suppress, and Jeep also attract small arm fire, which allows you to spot the enemy. So it's kind of good. It's like an infantry, but with the 50 cal. So that's good. It doesn't last as much as infantry though. So I'm just moving over there my command vehicle, and I'm ordering my troops to just come back to where all the rest of my force will meet. So a lot of fast movement there. At this point, my bomber are ready again to bomb, and what I do is I will bombard that town, and any potential anti-tank gun, anti-air gun that I can see. And my goal here is really to facilitate my ally advance. My ally also seem to spend some resources on airstrike, so now you might notice that I see some troops on the far, well, by the spawn, and that's because there's still one unit of infantry well positioned. Would it be better if that was a recon, but I just left them there, forgot about them, and as a result I actually have a visual on the enemy, so that's good. So now what I'm doing is I'm bombarding those anti-air, and now I have the rest of my force coming in. Okay, so here we go. Now my force are getting close. Yeah. Now that's my infantry force. My allies is also, well, my ally is also bringing full of troops himself. But judging by how he did not manage to push into the town yet, not sure if he's that great with it. Now somehow the enemy has some visual on us, so that will attract some attention, I guess. And by seeing the building which are burning, there is also some sapper which can burn everything. Flamethrower. Okay, so go. I'm ordering my infantry forward, and this will allow me to reveal the enemy infantry position, and this will serve as spotting force. Recon and force, that's it. Okay, so now the problem with this approach that we have right now is that we have way too many troops too densely packed up, and that's really bad. And because as you can see now, there's a bombing run, which is just freaking out most of the force. 2-bomb run, which is really stalling our advance. So you really need to spread out your troops if you want to achieve something. Getting their recon. Hopefully. There you go. As you can see, I have my Beaufort trucks. Now I'm pushing forward, letting my infantry rest a little so they can recover from the bombing run. They really had a lot of troops in that town. Now notice that I'm receiving some very long-range artillery bombardment. And it's mostly my tank which are taking the fires, so it doesn't matter that much, but dealing with those artillery is something which was kind of important, because they have very long range, and destroying them like they can really suppress my infantry. So for now I had nothing to deal with that. This will change soon. While there, I'm moving forward with my tank. One Sherman is taking the lead, and because it's an elite one, I guess it's really effective at whatever it does. But the enemy has a lot of anti-tank in that town. And look at that. This anti-tank right there just took out the Sherman at that distance. And now I'm like, whoa, what's that? And yeah, 250 meter, that's quite amazing. And you can see here another anti-tank kill. So these guys are quite amazing. Those are Panzer Shrek. So that cost me a tank. And that also did cost my ally a tank. At that point, I know that I did suppress some anti-air, so I'm sending 2 bombers. It's a bit of a risk because you send them closer to the enemy line, which increases the chance of a fighter intercepting your bomber, but at that point it's like there's not that much resistance anymore on that side. I think the guy I'm facing right now is pretty much the only one remaining. So there are still 2 anti-air. And what I find strange there is that my plane did not panic. I'm not sure what's that about, but as a result, I end up not only killing the enemy cannons, but on top of that, I end up really suppressing the enemy column. And so that spotting and that bombing was quite well placed. And it's a lot of luck that I had those troops spotting over there. While here, I'm bombing the anti-air. There you go, destroying anti-air. Now there's no more anti-air preventing me from doing anything. And this last bomber will bombard the column again. And this time there's like some anti-tank or artillery which will likely die. Let's see. Panzer Shrek. Oh well. Whatever that was. And now the guy left. So that's another one that left. I'm just pushing forward. I'm thinking about bringing a lot of fast recon, but there's no real purpose at doing it because my troops are pushing well. So it's kind of pointless to actually bring more troops at this point. So I keep pushing with my Sherman. And those Sherman have a lot of experience, as you can see. So it's I think for the allies, what matter for tank is to have a good diversity of tank, because it's like you have a command Sherman, you have a Sherman with a powerful gun, you have a Sherman with more armor, and it's like with that variety of troops, you end up creating a proper fighting force against German. So now I'm pushing forward because the tank are suppressed. So notice how I have one tank leading the move. I lost another tank there, but my 2 tank killing the enemy Stug over there. There we go. 3 Stug down for the cost of 1 of my Sherman. That's a fair share. I'm moving my infantry toward their line. Now let's see. There's a Stug coming on my side, so I react to that because this is very dangerous. And notice that my troops are 3-star of experience. That's really powerful. So we lost the armor personal carrier. And there you go. Another Stug down, and at that point the zone is up to a certain point secured. Now there's a few bomber coming, but they don't seem to have a target, so that's good. Bit of a waste on the part of the enemy. And here I'm just moving my troops toward that town and prevent any further spawning. Well, here you can see that whoever has control of this at this point is sending his troops forward to potentially capture some territory. And that's a good thing, but I have a few troops that will hold him for a while. Now at this point I'm like, what am I doing? Because I doubt that there's anybody that will try to stop me where my troops are, which means that I need to find a new purpose on this battlefield. I'm really running out of enemies. Now over there I could do something, but there's no real point doing anything. I'm just pulling back my troops with the intention of mostly scouting. It's like there's nothing to do anymore other than doing airstrikes. So I'm just waiting for my planes to rearm and reload and refuel and do whatever else they want. I keep my anti-air close. There's still a few infantry there spotting. But with 2 Sherman suppressing, it's not long that they die. While there, my infantry is just holding them. I bring a few reinforcements just to ensure that I'm not getting pushed, but it's unlikely that anybody will push there. I send an airstrike that will stop this potential enemy advance. An airstrike there just to reduce the enemy force. Airstrike on the anti-air over there. But at this point it's just my purpose is just to slow them down. Not even slow them down, just keep them busy elsewhere. Distract them. I will bombard their anti-air. But it's very likely that, judging by the lack of movement of troops there, that there's nobody there. These are just anti-air standing there. Okay, so at that point, well, apparently there was a martyr over there. Not sure if that was a response or something, but at this point, there's nothing else to do. It's like just securing this area and waiting for the battle to end in 2 minutes.
Alors mes cailles, vous attendez quoi, votre café au pieu? Oui. Allez, vite.
I'm sending my troop transport. So as you can see, this battle really was a lot for me about movement, and I think that's one thing which this French battle group is good for. You can really move quickly, move with proper units, which actually have a chance of dealing with the enemy, the German force early on. Later on, you will have perhaps a bit more difficulty because King Tiger might come and Panthers are a bit tougher to kill, but you have good tanks and just lead to a pretty good action. There you go. Total victory. And I did 4,625 and I lost 1,915. So that's a pretty good score. And you can see that my M8 did good. My M10A1 did very good. Bombers did good. I killed a Panther with the anti-tank. And yeah, those bombers really are good stuff. I recommend them. I put them into the battle group, and that you have the code for it. So, and you can see here some kills from my tank, and that is it. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on my next video.